It's the morning star drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, you know. I'm on the morning star drive, you know.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Tuesday, August 3rd, and this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is going on today on this wonderful Tuesday? We got some coronavirus updates, current news from around the world, and looking into the book of Matthew, chapter 25. All right, guys, how are you doing today? Hope you guys are enjoying your week. Really thankful that you guys have joined us here on the Morning Star Drive, so keep liking and commenting. I want to hear from you guys and see how you are doing. What is happening tonight on this Tuesday with Espresso with Sky? Absolutely nothing. Yes, not today. We have switched our video time to Thursdays instead, so I hope you guys will really enjoy this time here together on the Morning Star Drive. Go ahead, keep supporting us. Remember, our channel is switching to spiritual content, explaining different things, how Sunsim explains it, and you can give these videos to your newcomers, and you can use it yourself to learn how to reason and use scripture to tell people how to, go through difficult questions that we have, all right? So, last Sunday, we also met Tim Tavernetti from the U.S. Just a great interview, learning about his journey into this history. Super fun and insightful interview. He's a blessed family, so hope you guys really enjoy it. So make sure to check out this week's Sunday edition with Tim. Last night, we had the Monday Zoom Bible study, and that will be posted on Patreon. And session 1 will be extended until I leave, so we'll do it another 4 times. All right? So, let's get this show started on the road. On this wonderful Tuesday, who is today's featured artist? It is Dia Wings from Korea, and the song is their latest single, More and More. Second song is from Justar Aiden Verdi from New Zealand with Hot Guy in the Corner. And last but not least, we have Kuma-chung from Japan with the song he wrote for the new church opening, and that song is Open My Eyes. And as we have this last week of the 70-day prayer condition, I hope all of you guys will give thanksgiving that all of us made it through up to this point, and really pray about those things you really need and want. All right? So let us begin with member music from around the world.
알지 못해 툭 치고 간 어떤 한마디에 내게 남아질 리가 시크하게 툭 터져 그분 It never affects me, oh. 그 어떤 것도 날 멈추진 못해 내 쉬는 숨이 내 움직임이 내 가진 걸 내뿜어내 또 담대하게 또 풍부하게 인생의 파도에 부딪혀도 돼 내 사랑도 내 자유도 다 내가 선택해 of course 선 넘은 참견은 거절해 no more 괜찮아 할 수 있어 babe 언제나 시작은 미약해 갈수록 완전해진 me 우리가 바라볼 비전이야 더 긴장을 늦추지 마 좀 느린 건 괜찮아 앞을 봐 도전을 멈추지 마 Because you're gonna shine more and more You're gonna shine more and more shine more and more So I'm moving on Cause I'm breathing 지난 날 걸어왔던 수많은 날들이 날 꿈꾸게 만들어줘 더 빛나게 만들어줘 사라지지 않을 자연이 되어줘 되게 도망가지 도망했다고 자책해 다시 그만 나도 그 마음 가져가 그만하지만 거스트 나쁜 밤왜 너를 자책해 난 너로 기특해 끝은 여기가 아닐까 자꾸만 이러고 괜찮아 할 수 있어 babe 언제나 시작은 미약해 갈수록 완전해진 me 우리가 바라볼 비전이야 더 긴장을 늦추지 마 좀 느린 건 괜찮아 앞을 봐 도전을 멈추지 마 Because you're gonna shine more and more gonna shine more and more. 불어오는 바람 따라 유유히 흘러가. 그러다 보면 어느새 끝은 나오겠지. 끝은 하나 예전엔 뿐 새로운 시작을 기대해. You're gonna shine more and more. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 Because we're gonna shine more and more.
Who are you? A mystery, a little bit hard to see. I'm starting to believe you might be what I need. Even in shadow, you look so nice. Can't wait to see you step into the bright lights. You're kinda shy and so am I to do something, something. If I shake myself up, then I gotta say one thing. This one thing to you, hot guy in the corner. I don't know your name. Hot guy in the corner. Isn't it such a shame? When you always say, I'll be your turn your way and say hey. Hot guy in the corner, I see my face in your face. I could trip in these heels, eyes are spinning wheels. How can I keep my chill when you give me all the feels? Is that a halo? Is that a crown? Look at you, look at me, look you up and down. Take me out, I didn't wear all this for nothing, nothing. Hold my hand up, I got a chance to do something, do something with you. Hot guy in the corner, I don't know your name. Hot guy in the corner, isn't it such a shame? When you were always there, I'll be your turn your way and say hey. Hot guy in the corner, see my face.
揺れないでこうどんなかな迫害が来ても動じない強い信仰を持って立ち向かおうファミリーで GO ファミリーで GO 全ての人を受け入れられる家族のような温かさを持ってゆこう主の御心ファーストで行こういつも主の心情と共に主の言葉を最優先にして動き出そう伝えよう御言葉実践し挑戦してナンバーワンを目指してゆこう全ての個性才能を生かし挑戦しよう主役になろう伝えたい I'm happy I'm happy 新しく You are shining You are shining 伝えたい I'm happy I'm happy 新しく You are shining You are shining オープンでこうオープンでこう地域や社会の目線に立ち発展に積極的に貢献しよう近づいてこう近づいてこう全ての世代と距離を近く親しく接したならは僕をなそう縛られてる心を捨ててこう新しい取り組みをしよう主の言葉で心を燃やして動き出そうどんどんチャレンジしよう家族のような温かさで愛に満ちた教会しよう CGM オープンの先駆者として強みを生かし大胆になろう伝えたい I'm happy I'm happy 新しく You are shining You are shining 伝えたい I'm happy I'm happy 新しく You are shining You are shining 主の御言葉に出会いすべて与えられた何もない私だったけど育ててくれたその愛をいつまでも忘れずにいようもらったものすべて捧げ御心がそう御言葉を実践し挑戦してナンバーワンを目指してゆこう全ての個性才能を生かし挑戦しよう主役になろう Open the eyes Open the door Open my heart 見た心探して Open the eyes Open the door Open my heart 未来照らす my way
And there you have it. That is Kuma-chung from Japan with Open My Eyes. Before that, Juice-Star Aiden Verdi from New Zealand with Hot Guy in the Corner. And of course, Dio Wings, our featured artist of the day from Korea with More and More. So let's go on and see what is going on around the world with current news. We'll start off with the coronavirus updates for today. In the world, there are 199 million cases with 4.2 million deaths at a 2.14% mortality rate. Top 5 countries going by daily infection rates and daily death rates. We have India on top with 40,000 cases in a day with 424 deaths. Iran, 32,000 cases with 366 deaths in a day. And of course, Indonesia, number one in the world, 30,000 cases with 1,604 deaths in a single day. The UK, 24,000 cases, only 65 deaths. And then Russia, 22,000 cases with 789 deaths in a single day. Over here in Southeast Asia, of course, Indonesia is on top. And then you have Thailand with 18,000 cases, 133 deaths. And then Malaysia with 17,000 cases and 160 deaths in a single day. So let's take a look at the top 3 news. What's going on around the world? First, we have news on vaccines. Both Pfizer and Moderna to raise prices for Europe. And this is reported. Europe is keen to shore up protection and curb the spread of the more transmissible Delta variant. So both Pfizer and Moderna, the manufacturers of 2 of the most effective COVID-19 vaccines, have raised the prices of their jabs in their latest European Union supply contracts, according to a report in the Financial Times newspaper. Now, the new price for the Pfizer shot was 19.5 euros compared with, well, we can just put in the American dollars, it's $23.15 per shot compared with $18.39 previously. And the media outlet said, citing portions of the contracts it had seen, and the price of a dose of the Moderna vaccine was set at $25.50 according to the contracts, compared with $22.60 in the first procurement deal. Although lower than the previously agreed $28.50 because the order was larger, the Financial Times said, citing one official close to the matter. They said the price hikes reflected the continued demand for effective jabs and that governments had become a captive audience to pharmaceutical companies. So last Tuesday, the European Commission said that the EU is on course to hit a target of fully vaccinating at least 70% of the adult population by the end of September. In May, the EU said it expects to have received more than 1 billion doses of vaccines by that time from 4 drug makers. Now, the WHO has urged wealthy countries to share vaccine doses rather than go for booster shots as new outbreaks gather pace in countries in Asia and Africa, where a far smaller proportion of the population has had access to vaccinations. Israel had begun to offer booster shots to people in their 60s and older, and the UK might start giving out booster shots next month, according to the Daily Telegraph. Germany might also start offering boosters to the elderly and at risk from September 1st, according to a draft document seen by AFP News Agency, which also recommends promoting vaccinations for those aged 12 to 17. Now, the health minister, Jens Spahn, and Germany's 16 regional health ministers are expected to finalize the plans in a meeting on Monday. Second in the news, we're going to go all the way over to Turkey, and Turkey declares disaster areas as wildfire death toll rises. President Erdogan says investigation opened into causes of wildfires in southern Turkey as death toll rises to 6. The Turkish president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has declared parts of southern Turkey ravaged by wildfires as disaster areas, with the death toll from the fires rising to 6 after 2 forest workers were killed. Fires across Turkey since Wednesday have burned down forests, encroaching on villages and tourist destinations and forcing people to evacuate. The Minister of Agriculture and Forestry said on Saturday that 88 of 98 fires that broke out amid strong winds and scorching heat have been brought under control. Now, at least 5 people have died in Manavgat and 1 died in Marmaris. Both towns are located on the Mediterranean and are tourist destinations. The health minister said 400 people affected by the fires in Manavgat were discharged from hospitals and 10 were still receiving treatment. And in Marmaris, 159 people were treated and 1 person was still undergoing treatment for burns. So new fires erupted in southern Hatay province, where flames jumped to populated areas but appear to have been brought under control. Turkish media said hotel guests in parts of the Aegean town of Bodrum were told to evacuate, and authorities called on private boats and yachts to assist in evacuation efforts by sea. And in the past, of course, Turkey has blamed some previous forest fires on arson or outlawed groups such as the Kurdistan Workers' Party, but Erdogan said the government would provide compensation for families who lost their homes or agricultural lands, and he said taxes, social security, and credit payments would be postponed for those affected, and small businesses would be offered credit with 0 interest. Erdogan said the number of planes fighting the fires had been increased from 6 to 13, including planes from Ukraine, Russia, Azerbaijan, and Iran, and that thousands of Turkish personnel, as well as dozens of helicopters and drones, were assisting the firefighting efforts. More than 2,600 fires have erupted each year on average in the last decade, but that figure jumped to almost 3,400 last year. And this is from Husrev Ozkara, which is the vice chair of the Turkish Foresters Association. So basically, it's a heat wave across southern Europe fed by hot air from Africa has led to wildfires across the Mediterranean, and temperatures in Greece and nearby countries in southern Europe are expected to climb to 42 degrees Celsius on Monday in many cities and towns, and ease only later on during the week, right? Last but not least, we're going to Israel. Israel accuses Iran over deadly oil tanker attack. So Israel has accused Iran of being behind an attack on an oil tanker in which 2 crew members, a British national and a Romanian citizen, were killed. The MV Mercer Street, operated by the London-based company Zodiac Maritime, was off Oman's coast in the Arabian Sea when the incident occurred on Thursday. The company, which belongs to Israeli shipping magnate Ayel Ofer, said it was working to establish what had happened. Iran has not commented on the Israeli foreign minister's allegations. However, details of the attack on the Liberian-flagged Japanese-owned tanker remain unclear, and the incident appears to be a serious escalation in tensions in the region, and some reports suggest that a drone was involved. Now, a spokesperson from the UK government said it was also trying to urgently establish the facts, and the UK Maritime Trade Operations Naval Authority said it was investigating the incident, which occurred near the Omani island of Masara, and confirmed that coalition forces were assisting the vessel. And of course, the US State Department said it was deeply concerned by the reports and was monitoring the situation closely. So the tanker was traveling in the northern Indian Ocean to the UAE from Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, and according to Zodiac Maritime, it had no cargo on board at the time of the incident. And of course, a number of previous incidents have been reported on both Israeli and Iranian-owned ships in the area. Vessels have been damaged in these incidents, but casualties are rare. Last but not least, we have some sports news going to the Olympics. Let's start with the medal count. The U.S. on top with 60 medals altogether with 20 golds. China in second with 51 medals with 24 golds, and Russia with 44 medals and 12 golds. Some crazy news, men's 100 meters, right? So forget about turning the page to a new era of men's 100 meter sprinting, but you know, everything for 13 years was dominated by Usain Bolt, right? So the sport of track and field and the world's imagination was all there, but the final race was on Sunday night in Tokyo, and it was an Italian, Lamont Marcel Jacobs, who won gold in 9.8 seconds. No Italian man had ever made the Olympic 100-meter final before. Fred Kerley of the United States, who was recently, he was a 400-meter runner, took silver with 9.84, and then Andre DeGrasse of Canada won bronze with 9.89, and all three medalists ran personal bests in the final. So great news over there. Another world record broken. Venezuela's Yulimar Rojas sets the world record to win the women's triple jump. She was a silver medalist in Rio 2016. She jumped 15.67 meters to smash the previous best of 15.5 meters set by Ukraine's Inessa Kravets in 1995, 2 months before Rojas was born. Okay, so great news over there. Congratulations to Yulimar Rojas for setting the world record in women's triple jump. And last but not least, great story. Incredible Olympic high jump final ended with both Qatar's Mutaz Issa Barshim and Italy's Gianmarco Tamberi taking gold medals, and they shared it together. So after an exhausting 2-hour competition, the pair couldn't be split, having recorded best clearances of 2.37 meters. The athletes were offered an opportunity to take part in a jump off, but in a moment of sportsmanship, they agreed to share the title, sparking huge celebrations. Both had 3 failures as they attempted to match the Olympic record of 2.39 meters, and with error-free records on countback, could have fought for sole possession of the title, but they shared it instead, and they were actually known to be very, very good friends, so they made history, and it was the first joint Olympic podium in athletics since 1912. So that is a good heartwarming story to end today's sporting news. All right, guys, so that means we're going to go into the golden time. We are done with the world news. Let's go into the golden time, and we're going to have a time of praise and worship before we go into the word study. We're going to start off with Life of Heaven, and then we'll go into Connection, and we'll end off with Lord, I Call Upon Your Name from 2015. All right, so as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's give this time of praise, worship, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
The Lord, we fulfill the rapture here on earth, and it's a life of heaven.
Everything God created in this whole world, the earth, sea, and sky, it's heaven on earth. Wherever we are, if we serve the Lord, if we live as one, it becomes heaven on the earth. Everything God created brushing by. But if skin brushes skin, will they just merely connect? That will make them turn into lovers. If clothing brushes clothes, it could last for 10 years. But if it's skin to skin, 100 years. If it's our hearts that touch them together, we should live for 1,000 years. Two people may connect just by brushing by. But if skin brushes skin, will they just merely connect? That will make them turn into lovers. If clothing brushes clothes, it could last for 10 years. But if it's skin to skin, 100 years. If it's our hearts that touch them together, we should live for 1,000 years. So then, if we're brushed by God, how many years should we remain by His side, living together? Years aren't enough to measure. We must live forever, tied to each other, always together forever. We'll live in perfect Lord, I call upon your name. Oh my Lord, oh my love. Lord, where are you? Where are you now? I want to be in your arms and confess to you, oh Lord. At this moment, I wish to be reborn. With all my heart I call and call. All of a sudden I can feel the fire of His love come closer to me. As the warmth of His love continuously seeps into my soul, hot tears begin to stream down from my eyes. 'Cause I feel my Lord has come. I feel Him next to me. The glowing warmth of His love is healing my spirit. How I want to be the love of my Lord. Earnestly I plead, forgive me, oh my love, my precious Lord. I call upon your Lord, I call upon your name. Oh my Lord, oh my love. Lord, where are you? Where are you now? I want to be in your arms and Oh Lord, at this moment I wish to be reborn. With all my heart I call and call. All of a sudden I can feel the fire of His love come closer to me. As the warmth of His love continuously sinks into my soul, our tears begin to stream down from my eyes. 'Cause I feel my Lord has come. I feel Him next to me. The glowing warmth of His love that's healing my spirit. How I want to be the Lamb of my Lord. Earnestly I plead, forgive me, oh my love, my precious Lord. 'Cause I feel my Lord has come. Please stay right by my side. Reveal your heart to me. Receive this heart of mine. For I have no strength without you, my Lord. All my hope is in you, Lord. Oh my love, my precious Lord, I call upon your name. Oh my Lord, I call upon your name. Oh my Lord, I call upon your
That is Lord, I Call Upon Your Name. Really an oldie but a goodie, you can say, right? Great song. Before that was Connection, and of course, Life of Heaven was that first song. So let's get into today's word study for today. And of course, every single Tuesday, we go over to the scriptures of this week's message. And of course, we have the Complete Testament Bible, and we can't go into that yet because it's just beginning. But we're going to go into the book of Matthew, especially chapter 25 and the parable of the talents. Okay, so let's take a look and go a little bit deeper into this week's scriptures. So we'll start off with just a basic and easy background. The book of Matthew, they call this book the Gospel of the King, and most likely it was written to convince the Jewish people that Jesus was their Messiah or the long-awaited King. And the reason we can assume this is because there's a lot of references to the Old Testament and to the Old Testament prophecies. So, unless if you were trying to convince Gentiles, you wouldn't go to the old Jewish Bible and say these prophecies are like this, and this. Because you're talking to Jews and convincing them, you have to show them that He has fulfilled all the prophecies, and that's why He is the long-awaited King. Okay, so that's why there's an assumption that it's for Jewish people to prove to them that Jesus is the Messiah. And also, we can assume that this gospel was written by Matthew, and people say that this book was written in either Hebrew or Aramaic, and some believe this record of Jesus was originally written in Greek and then translated into other languages. The date of this gospel could be after AD 70, due to the destruction of Jerusalem. And other scholars do think that if you accept that Jesus is the Christ, there's no reason why it could not have been written prior to that time too. So that's just kind of a basic background. Now, let's go into this the chapter 25. Right? And we know that this chapter 25 was most likely written by Matthew himself. And the reason we're able to assume this is because the parables that are written in Matthew 25, it harmonizes with Matthew's theology and his style of writing, right? So the literary context of this chapter has been said to be allegory and very, very obvious that it is a parable, right? And that's why they put the title of the parable of the 10 virgins, the parable of the talents, right? And originally, though, these parables may have come from Jesus, and we're assuming that they do. And of course, we won't ever know for sure since we're not in that place in that moment in time. But of course, by speculation and the assumption that he is writing from what Jesus said, and with our faith that this chapter, Matthew 25, the parables written there are coming from Jesus himself. the first and last parable, like the first of the 10 virgins and the last parable of the sheep and the goats being separated, there are no other parallels in the other gospels, right? However, the parable we're looking at today, when it comes to the parable of the talents, there is a parallel in Luke. In the book of Luke, chapter 19, there's going to be the exact same story too there. So there is a parallel only with the story that we go with this week, right? So what is the purpose, right? So when you look at Matthew chapter 24 and 25, is basically a continuation of a series of parables. And of course, many scholars would say Matthew 24, 25 are the Lord's second coming chapters, right? Matthew 24 talks about all the signs, and then Matthew 25 talks about the two parables, the three parables, and the three stories are in Matthew 25. And the purpose of the parables in this chapter is for Jesus to give the time between his death, resurrection, and his second coming. And if you really pay attention to these parables, you'll see that the other purpose of this chapter is to speak to those who are going to be judged, right? It's a common theme. When the Lord's second coming comes, there will be a judgment, and people will be judged accordingly, and either will be rewarded with the kingdom of God or they'll be condemned to hell, right? And another purpose of this chapter is to bring people to the realization of the responsibilities of being a Christian. So as you read the story of the sheep and the goats, it shows that we all have the same responsibilities, but it's up to us to respond to them. Okay, so let's get a little bit deeper into the parable of the talents. What is the purpose? Like when you look at that kind of the Christian background of this, this parable has a purpose showing us that there needs to be, we are going to be trusted with whatever it is that God gives to us. And this parable is about responsibility. So God gives us gifts and grace and entrusts us with things that are to be used. And if we don't use them, then we are just digging a hole and burying the things we are entrusted with. We are not multiplying. So basically, it's about whether you advance towards God or you slip back away from God. So being entrusted with certain gifts, such as talents, gives us a responsibility to do something with those gifts. And God gives us the means, and all we have to do is use them. Now, if we go into a little bit more deeply about the way Sunstein teaches about Matthew chapter 25, especially the parable of the talents. The first one is, it's a story about an owner that goes away on a journey, and it's basically symbolic of the Lord's second coming. Jesus comes, he dies, and he goes away, and he's going to come back a second time. So basically, this story is about the owner being Jesus, right? And we're waiting for a second coming. He went on his journey, and he's going to come back, right? The Lord will come back a second time. And what's going to happen during that time? What we see is God is leaving us with our talents and abilities or something for us to do, which is our responsibilities. And when the Lord's second coming comes back, what's going to happen is he will take into account and he'll look at what we've done with the talents that he's given to us, right? And then if we go, that's at the large scale, that's about the Lord's second coming, Jesus coming back again. Now, if you miniaturize it a bit, especially at the time that we're living in right now, it was used at the time where Sunstein would use this exact parable for these 10 years, right? When he was gone for 10 years, what happened? Exact same thing. He's like, hey, you guys have the word. You have your talents and responsibilities. If you keep doing them, what's going to happen? When I come back out, then you will be rewarded, or you'll be, not rewarded, right? So what you see here is you can miniaturize it for this level right now. And of course, if you take it to an even more miniaturized level, what we're going through right now, because of the pandemic, no one can go into the natural temple. No one can see Sunstein either. So you can look at it in that way is we have this time for about a year and a half already where we cannot go into the Holy Land. But what do we do with the talents we have? What are we doing during this pandemic? How are we developing ourselves? How are we making ourselves at this time becomes a very big thing. Are we, losing everything like this week's message? Like, have we lost our faith? Are we losing more than we're gaining? Or when it comes into this week's message even more as the emphasis, which I really like from this week's message, the emphasis is on, hey, you know what? Even if, these big things are not going to happen right now because we're in a pandemic, using this verse where basically you've done well with little things, come and join in your master's happiness. I'll give you even bigger things to be responsible with, right? And if you go into the parallel with the same story in the book of Luke, it's very interesting because it says, you've done well with 10 bags of gold, then I will give you 10 cities, right? So whatever you've done good with little, you'll be blessed even more with bigger things. And it's something that we can look at right now if we are being told this message right now, for this message. After this pandemic is over, everything, all the accounts have to be settled. What did you do while you were gone? What did you do during this time, during the pandemic? All our accounts will get settled, just like in the parable of the talents. The owner comes back and he checks on every person, right? And that's what we need to think about and do too, is we need to check ourselves what do we have left? Right? What have we done with the year and a half during this pandemic? Have we gained anything? And that's something that I think that all of us have to really think about also. So it's really cool because this week's message, there are so many ways to miniaturize it and maximize it too. But I'm super, super grateful that we're using this verse for this week's message, because it was used in a much different way than I expected it would have been done, right? Most of the time it's been, I've been gone and now I'm going to come back and hold you guys all to account. But instead it's more of, hey, big things aren't happening right now. So whatever you do well with the little things, don't worry. That will later become something very, very big. So great message this week. I hope that today's word study is something that kind of opened your eyes a little bit more to this week's scriptures, okay? So that means we're going to go into today's song of choice. And yesterday I played a song from Daryl Ong, and he was on the Masked Singer in the Philippines. Today I'm going to go to Korea, and we're going to go to a song from the Masked Singer in Korea. She is probably one of my top 3 favorite female vocalists. Her name is So-hyung, and she sings this really touching, amazing song. And if you guys want to see the lyrics will be in the link in the video. The video will have all the lyrics in it, but it's so deep. It's like a loved one comforting their someone who loves you so deeply, who's comforting you, right? Saying that they're taught. The lyrics are so good. It's just, I know I can't understand all the things you're going through, all the difficulties, right? But it's okay to make mistakes once in a while, because everyone makes mistakes, right? It's this really loving support. It says, when you have that deep sigh, when you breathe in deeply, don't worry, I understand, I will embrace you. Even though I can't understand to the depth of your difficulty, it's like, just breathe, right? And it really, really reminded me of God's love. God's love as in, we're still being made and developed as we go. And we're going to make mistakes. We're going to go through hard times. That's our fault, but it's still difficult. And I can really feel God saying, just breathe. I understand, right? So you're going through a difficult time. You'll make mistakes. It's okay. It's okay. So just breathe. And when I listened to this song, I was so moved. So if you want to see the lyrics in English, go ahead and check the link in the description and you'll see it, right? This is So-hyung from the Masked Singer Korea with the song Breathe.
숨을 크게 쉬어봐요. 당신의 가슴 양쪽이 저리게 조금은 아파올 때까지 숨을 더 뱉어봐요. 당신의 안에 남은 게 없다고 느껴질 때까지 숨이 벅차 올라도 괜찮아요. 아무도 그댈 탓하지 않아. 가끔은 실수해도 돼. 누구든 그랬으니까 괜찮다는 말뿐인 위로지만 누군가의 한숨 그 무거운 숨을 내가 어떻게 헤아릴 수가 있을까요? 당신의 한숨 그 깊이를 알 순 없겠지만 괜찮아요.
guys, that was a moving song. It's so amazing just how God has given us his voice, and this voice actually becomes an instrument, and it becomes something you can give like so much glory to God. And if you guys know Soyoung's story, she is a very devout Christian, and she gives glory to God as much as she can. And she wants to spread the gospel. But wow, what a great song. And guys, if you want to hear the lyrics, go ahead, check out the description in the link. It is so good. All right, so that means let's get into the last section for today, and it's kind of my thoughts for the week. And of course, I told you yesterday, I gave you the testimony of all the things God has led me, especially when it comes to not paying that hotel quarantine fee. I saved like, honestly, I saved like 2,000-3,000 Canadian dollars, which means that's like close to 10,000 ringgit for those of you in Malaysia. But it's roughly around 8,000, 9,000 US dollars just from this entire ordeal. I was extended from April to now, which is an extra 4 months, and I didn't even have to pay the 400 ringgit. I only paid once. And I was just really super grateful to God, and God really led me to this time here. So I was thinking, because I'm so happy from, all the things that have happened, getting my vaccine, getting it done before I leave, on top of so many other things too. Just everything's working in according to God's plan. You just feel it. And even the things that I thought it was me doing it, I realized later when I look back, wow, God really inspired me to postpone my interview one more week to July 30th and stuff like that. So I was just like, wow, God is working such an amazing way. And now I have my last 4 weeks in Malaysia, right? And there's a form of relief in my heart. I was realizing about this when I was thinking about this last night. There's a form of relief in my heart. And it's not because I don't like Malaysia. It's more because there is clarity in where God wants me to go next. Like, that's where there is this relief in my heart, that comfort. Because when you think about it, the hardest time in life is when there's uncertainty. Like, you're not sure. Like, you're not sure whether you should be here doing this or going over there and doing that. And you're not even sure if there's another option that you should be at. It's like driving in this super foggy road, or imagine you're walking and all of a sudden your vision becomes blurry. You can't see well. You don't want to walk. You stop. You don't want to run. You just hold your hands out in front of you, and you're just hoping that there's something that you can grab onto, right? And it's a really scary moment. And it brings fear or worry into your hearts because you're not sure what's going to happen next, and you're not even sure if the place you're at you're supposed to be there or not, right? And it's like not any different during the pandemic of losing your job. You lose your job, you can't pay rent, you can't pay your house payments, food, supporting your family, and you can't help but worry, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? God, please help. And you cry out to God. But through this experience, and I look back now that everything is settled, and I have my final days August 28th, and now that everything's settled, it's so amazing just to see how much God was preparing each step, that even to the point where I made the mistake of making my appointment at the wrong government agency, and then having to postpone again, and then the lockdown, and then I postpone again, like all those things in my head. It just felt like it was me doing it. It just felt like that, right? And when I think about that even more, I'm like, wow, God is really knowing my heart, and he's leading me in the right way, changing the situation, the circumstance. And when I looked at this, I was like, wow, God has really been watching out for me, and he's looking so much further ahead, and I'm kind of like worrying for no reason, right? And it reminded me of that verse in Romans chapter 8, verse 28 that says that God is planning things for the good of those that love him. And because we are his brides, he's planning such like amazing things for our future. And a lot of times we're just looking at the difficulty that's happening right now, and it becomes really hard to do pre-dawn, or it becomes really hard to have that full trust, or you're crying, or you're like, oh my gosh, why is it so hard, right? And when we realize how much God loves us and how much God wants us to do well, we have to have even more trust in him, right? That there is a plan and a way that is much greater than what we have right now. And we need to be those that think ahead too. And what's more important is to trust that God has that great plan for us ahead of this storm. Like God, when we're in the storm, we can't see anything, but we need to have that absolute trust in God that He is above the storm, and He kind of looks and He sees what's happening right after, or that storm is leading us to the better place. Like if there wasn't a storm there, we would keep going forward into a bad direction. But with that storm, He changes our direction to the place where we should be going. But we're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't see anything. God, what's happening? And you're like kind of like trying to, like you're putting your hands in front of you, trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go. And I hope that just from my story here, because this has been like 4 months in the running, yeah, it's 4 months. I'm wondering, what am I doing? Am I supposed to, what's my next step? That right now that there's clarity, right at the very end, think about this. I had clarity. I've been here for 1.5 years. At the end of this, of my visa, it'll be almost literally 1.5 years, because I came on February 29th and I'm going to be leaving the next year in August 28th. So it's almost exactly to 18 months, right? And when I looked at this, I was like, wow, I didn't get clarity until the last 30 days. Isn't that crazy? Like I had to be trusting, and I had to make sure that God, please, I put this all in your hands. But I never got clarity until the last month of 18 months, wondering what I should do next. Should I go back home now? Should I not? Should I get my visa? Should I extend? Should I do this? What's going to happen if I have to pay this? Oh my gosh, God, I can't even quarantine with my parents. And all these thoughts came into my head, but clarity comes at the very, very end. And it reminds me of what Sunseem says is, do things until the end. Because when you do things until the end, at the very end, right? Satan follows you until 6, and then when you reach 7, Satan can no longer go that far. And we reached the point when I hit 7, I'm like, oh, wow. So I've done the things I need to do, right? And now I'm looking back at the last 18 months. Well, when I leave, it'll be 18 months. It's starting the member YouTube channel for this MSD channel, and then also on top of it, I have the Espresso with Sky channel, doing these Zoom Bible studies, doing a lot of these things that just we're able to accomplish so much during this time. This 18 months just over online. It's not even like in person, it's all online. So I was super grateful and super thankful. And I'm really, really hoping, I'm not going to stop these podcasts just because I'm, going to be visiting over there in the West Coast. I just got to keep in mind that I have to get things done by a certain time to post it ready for the 5:30 a.m. in Malaysia, which is 6:30 a.m. in Korea, right? So, I'm very, very thankful and grateful. Clarity has come. I know, God, wow, like nothing that happened in the past was like confusion. It was just me trusting and having faith in God and waiting till the end, and God says you did well and you've done what you're supposed to do. So I hope that this helps you guys too with whatever you're going through, but I'm very, very grateful and thankful what God has done for me, and I'm just kind of slowly, more and more with this clarity, I'm able to have more and more realizations. All right, so everyone, thank you so much for joining us here on the Tuesday podcast. Hope you guys have an amazing and awesome day. Tomorrow, of course, we have our Sunseem is going to give the Wednesday message. I hope that everyone will just have an amazing, amazing time together with the Lord for this Tuesday, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly, so let's realign. Just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, I'm on the Morning Star Drive.